The Nurburgring, arguably the most famous racetrack in the world. 20 kilometers per lap, 154 turns, 300 meters worth of elevation changes, and barriers either side to get you into crippling debt if you make one tiny mistake. But surely nothing will go wrong, right?
Are you fucking dick?
Well, you're about to join me and the rest of the boys as we hit the green hell in what has been described as the worst day to drive the 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙆 ever. Probably not the best weekend to rock up at with no track experience in a car that I've owned for 3 days, but, you know, it all adds to the madness. It's going to be a long one, so go grab yourself a cuppa, get sat down, and let's get into it. Now then, today is the day we go to the ring. And I'm taking that. Now you might be wondering, Luke, mate, why aren't you going in the Mini? You know, that car you've spent thousands of pounds on getting ready just to take to the ring. And, you know, that's a pretty valid point. But literally a few days before we were due to set off, my dream car popped up for sale, and, well, I ended up buying it. And you don't get the opportunity to drive your dream car around the most famous track in the world every day, so the Mini ended up staying at home. Even with a cage in the back of the Mini, there is still more space in one of them than a Lotus. So trying to squeeze in 4 days worth of holiday clobber for 2 people, and all of the camera equipment you need to film a video of the trip was, well, quite difficult. It was a bit like playing a game of 3D Tetris, but we got there in the end. The missus, who's about to have our first child in 3 months' time, wasn't that keen on the idea of now doing a 1,000-mile road trip in a tin can, but if you give her enough snacks, she'll be alright. That leads me on to the plan of how we're actually getting there. So there are 5 cars going. Me in the 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙆, Pete in the Mustang, and Josh in his custom F81 M3 are all going on the ferry. Glenn in his M2 competition and Tom in his 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙆 are driving down via the Eurotunnel. It's a 2.5-hour drive for us to get to the port, and then we can put our feet up, have a few pints and do the remaining 4 hours from Rotterdam to the ring tomorrow. Glenn and Tom, on the other hand, have a 5-hour drive down to the Eurotunnel tonight, an early start in the morning to catch the crossing, and then another 5-hour drive to the ring. There are pros and cons to both of these, which I'll get onto in a bit, but for now, let's just get set off. As you can see, it's quite a snug fit inside of this Lotus, but Sally was more concerned about other things. We eventually met up with Pete, filled up with Shell's finest 99 and plugged the ferry terminal into our sat-navs. This was the first time that I'd actually driven the Lotus any kind of distance, really, and, well, whilst we were in the UK at least, where it wasn't blazing hot outside, it was actually quite pleasant. The seats aren't mega comfy, as you'd expect, but the seating position that you're sat in is, if that makes sense. It's more the fact that you can't hear yourself think at 70 miles an hour. So our lass cracked open a few snacks to distract us from losing our hearing. Could have been worse though. The fellas heading down to the tunnel hit traffic from the get-go, and I thought it was a squeeze in the Lotus with just me and the missus, but let me tell you, the cab looks even smaller when you've got 2 lanky fellas sat side by side. And just when they thought it couldn't get any more uncomfortable,
3.5 hours away from the tunnel, AC's packed in, absolutely roasting.
no aircon when you're essentially leaning on the engine can't be nice, as we would find out a bit later on. But for the time being, me and Pete racked up the miles and the Lotus was actually pretty economical. The only thing that was a bit of a letdown was the size of the tank, but they're not built for grand touring, so I guess I can let Lotus off with that. About 4 miles from the port we hit a little bit of traffic, and that's when the Lotus reared one of its ugly party pieces. Overheating.
Does it look like up there, Pete? Are they moving at all?
Slowly, yeah, slowly.
If you're doing less than 5 miles an hour, the car's temperature will start to rise pretty quickly. And if you're in the direct line of fire of a 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙆's exhaust, which just ploughs warm air at the car, that just amplifies the situation. Luckily though, the queue wasn't too bad this time around, so we arrived at the ferry with next to no dramas. The window seal decided it didn't want to seal the window, as we pulled up to passport control, which was great. So hopefully it doesn't rain at all during the trip, but at least I wasn't going to have to worry about that tonight. Unlike some people.
Things are improving in the Lotus. Can't fucking see, man. It's blind anyway. Look at the fucking road.
Doesn't help that I've double glazing on.
Stop looking at me when you talk to me.
The last thing to do was to get parked up on the ferry, something most people wouldn't get anxious about. But when your arse is 3 centimetres from the floor, I just wanted to make sure I could get on board. Luckily though, I managed to just about creep on at Sir Captain Tom walking pace, and next time I reckon I'll pay the extra 15 quid for priority parking. Because 1, you'll obviously get off first, so it saves you time waiting about, but you also get a little bit more space to open your doors by the looks of it, and in the 𝙁𝑉𝑗 it's a bit of a struggle getting in and out if you can't swing your doors fully open. Even harder if you're 6 months pregnant like. Pete obviously didn't have an issue in the Mustang, and it's a shame you have to disable your alarm when you're on the ferry, because I reckon he could have set a new high score playing the game How many car alarms can you set off at once with a 5-litre Mustang cold start? There was a lush BMW Z8 parked up at the very front of the queue, which I spotted driving on. Very, very nice. But it was finally time to find our room and set up camp for the night.
What have you treated us to?
Well, I treated myself to the cheapest cabin. So I didn't know you were coming. It's fucking Jimmy Carr.
Luke, be careful.
I didn't mean to. Got arms like fucking chopsticks, man.
Where's your ladders?
Where are my ladders? I don't know.
Says use the ladder book. Oh, is this the? Oh, so you don't fall out. Oh, here they are.
After what was potentially the shittest meal I've ever paid £70 for, we eventually set off, which meant we could enjoy all kinds of top quality onboard entertainment. I eventually settled on the PlayStation 3 exclusive from 2008 Race Driver Grid, because that's just what you need when you want a little break from all the driving that you're going to be doing all weekend. A bit more driving. But we only had so many euros on us, so it was time to hit the hay and wake up refreshed for the first official day of the holiday tomorrow.
Very early this morning. Unfortunately, I'm going to go and get back in the old torture chamber down there. There it is, look. Fucking waiting to rattle my brain for another 5 hours today. Let's go and look there. Getting all this expensive clobber into his back of his BM.
You don't want to put it there.
Gonna ruin the aesthetic of your
I
car.
really don't want to put it there. I want to put it there, man. Can I put it here?
It's the smallest little sticker in the world.
Can I put it there?
This is a man who spent last night watching YouTube of getting on the tunnel.
Can I put it there?
Yeah. No, you can't put it there.
Oh no, I've got bubbles.
Oh, look at that. Oh, the other Lotus nonsense are going to be fuming when they see this. Ruining their brand.
Oh, there we go.
See how badly it's been racked around Donington. Oh, classic Lotus problems. You cannot see, fuck off. He's changed his dash though, that's the most important thing. You've got race dash on now.
I've fucked it up, but I've got everything I want on there, like. I can't see a fucking thing!
We are at the tunnel. Oh dear, Lotus is broke.
Despite not being able to see where they were going, and the fact that every time they turned the car on, another warning light appeared on the dash, Brownie and Jim actually made it to the tunnel, as did Glenn and Sophie in the M2. Meanwhile, as they were getting loaded up onto the train, we were just coming into the dock, and the weather so far was looking pretty good. I'd checked the forecast and it was looking like it was going to reach about 30 degrees, which is totally fine when you've got working aircon, something which I still haven't tested out yet. Hope that doesn't bite me on the arse. And by the time we got ready to disembark the ferry, the lads who'd taken the tunnel were deep into France and hitting all kinds of traffic. I suppose that was bound to happen when you plan your trip to the ring the same weekend the F1 is on at Spa. Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
We're off.
Smells like bacon sandwiches.
What?
Smells like bacon sandwiches. It's like we're back in Hull. It's just the same.
Shithole. It could be Rotterdam or anywhere.
I think it's Rome.
It says so.
Oh.
Okay, hell.
Once we'd established that Rotterdam ferry terminal was on par with the natural beauty the UK's 2017 City of Culture has to offer, we had a 45-minute long wait to get us through border control, made even longer by Josh in the M3 leaving his passport on the ferry. Just gave Sally enough time to have her second breakfast. Nice.
Delicious.
The Netherlands is such a shit place to drive through. The 100km/h speed limits just make the journey stretch out for so long. I'll never complain about us only being able to do 70 mph ever again, but at least it was broken up every so often by the odd tunnel. The Lotus really needs an exhaust, but at least the other lads had some fun. Eventually, after what felt like days of driving through the Netherlands, we hit Germany, and the first stretch you see is an unrestricted section of the Autobahn. Now, the 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙄𝙉 tops out at like 147 mph, so there wasn't really any point in gunning it. I've had faster bowel movements. But Pete wanted to give the Mustang a little bit of a run out, and here he is flying past us in what turned out to be his only clean run before the traffic decided to spoil it all. Probably a good time to mention that my aircon doesn't work, and it's 36 degrees inside of the cab. Class. With all of the stopping and starting, at least Pete could provide us a little bit of entertainment. It was at this point I realised I wasn't going to make it the full way there on one tank. It's only a 40-litre thing. I'll work out what miles per gallon I got and bang it on the screen. But I really didn't want to stop on the motorway because it was an absolute fortune. But we did eventually make it to our first stop, which wasn't the Nurburgring. Now, because the ring isn't open until an evening on a Friday, we decided why not make a slight detour to Cologne and visit the 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙄𝙊𝙆 Museum, which is part of this place, Motorworld. It was also the spot where we'd planned on meeting up with the Eurotunnel crew. Nice to see you too, Brownie. It's not a bad little spot, to be honest. There's a Lotus and Maserati dealership here, which is a bit random. But inside there must have been well over 100 cars, and all of them will have been on a poster in a kid's room at one point in time. So I'll just sit back for a couple of minutes and let you enjoy some of my favourites. Oh dear. That's pornographic. You got the time? Look. It's a cool spot, isn't it? A quick bite to eat and we were back on the road. It was only an hour or so to get down to 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙄𝙊𝙆, which is where we were stopping for this holiday. There's two ways to get to the Touristfahrten though, apparently. Glenn came in the more iconic route past the famous Nurburgring grandstand. Meanwhile, I was taking the twisty route through 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙄, and it felt like I was on the track already. We got there just in time for the track to open. Monday to Friday, it's 5 till 7 PM, so just enough time to squeeze in the first few laps to settle the nerves. That's if the Lotus survives yet another traffic jam. Glenn, Jim and Brownie were about 5 minutes ahead of us, so whilst I was stuck queuing, they headed out to get their first sighting lap in.
Yeah, shut up, James. Don't be being funny.
Now Glenn's been quite a few times before in various baguettes, but this is the first time that he's brought the M2 over, and the first kilometre of the lap was looking good, and then the rain hit, and it got worse and worse and worse. Knowing that I was on semi-slicks, James gave me a bell to let me know that it was absolutely heshing it down on the other side of the track.
Hey mate, just so you know, it's hitting down where the carousel is, on the uphill, all the way up to the carousel.
It's typical, isn't it? You drive down 500 miles in glorious sunshine, and as soon as you reach the place where you want the weather to be nice, it starts to piss down. Mint. So, no track time for me tonight. But at least it wasn't raining over at the entrance to the track, so we could go check out people who were ballsy enough to brave it in the partial monsoon conditions. And this is the main car park. I've never been here before, so I've never seen the Devil's Diner, but this is where I'm going to be spending a lot of time over this weekend. There were some beastly machines in here, and this was just the Friday evening, so I can't wait to see what's going to be here tomorrow. Since it was a washout though, we decided to head over to Brunchin, you know, YouTube corner, to see what was going on over there and sink our first Bitburger of the weekend. And of course, there was already a crash. It was quite quiet though, and everyone was craving another 10 beers. It had been a pretty long day, so we shot back to the hotel, which was banging by the way, up in the hills of Adenau, threw on a change of clothes and headed down to the local watering hole, which did some mega pizza as well. Saturday started off damp. It had rained overnight and it was a little bit foggy, but according to the forecast we weren't due any more rain until the afternoon, so the plan was to get a few laps under our belts this morning. But the rain wasn't the main concern for Brownie, who had a bit of a problem with his brake lights. They weren't working. The issue was a dodgy switch, which luckily he'd brought with him. I did wonder why he didn't change it in the comfort of his own home, but you know, putting that to one side, I'm really glad that he didn't, because it made for some great viewing.
Yeah, go on.
Ow! Sorry.
You're right down there, mate.
I need my other hand, but I can't get the front in. I'm trying to get the front off, but I can't get on it.
Get a little look in it.
You are?
One of the girls who are.
You need another hand?
You can't get his back round.
Do you need me to do it?
I might need you in a minute. I can't get my fucking hand in. I've got a little dinosaur hand. I can't get it in, it's stuck here.
Do you want me to pull you out?
I got it. Oh,
It's barely stuck on the wheel.
I've got any room for my ass here.
What's he doing? He's trying to change the wipers on for it now.
I've just knocked my fucking centre console off and played that quickly. Right, how do I get out here? Hang on.
So I go use that and pull you up.
Yeah. Put your car into gear and take your handbrake off, you get a bit more space. You're just kicking the fuck out of it.
Do you want to grab my hand?
Hang on, Hey, I'm out. Ah, you fuck! Oh,
it?
fuck's sake, man.
It's a boy.
Nah, it's not got this console. What's all that whinging about then? It's going to be
How
nipping
the
my
fuck
legs.
done it?
Can you get it from the other side?
I can't get me fucking... Ah! Come straighten me out.
You're saying you've gone from sometimes having brake lights to not having them at all now?
Yeah.
Alright.
Eventually though, me and Glenn stepped in to do the job for him because it was just too painful to watch. And then we were all ready to make the trip back down to the diner. I don't think I was prepared for how many Club Sport E92 M3s I was going to see over the course of this weekend, but I am all for it.
Oh man.
One thing I wasn't up for though, was the rain. Again. For fuck's sake. Knowing that it'd be too sketchy to take the Lotus out, I whacked it into the overflow car park and Glenn offered to take us out in the M2, just so we could say we'd actually been around. Didn't stop this legend from ripping round in his Viper though. Bigger cojones than what I've got. And Brownie decided that he was going to follow Glenn around in his 𝙁𝘍𝙄. He's on Cup 2s and not 𝙁𝘍𝙄𝙊𝙆 RSs, so he felt a little bit more comfortable tiptoeing around. Mad fucker. Oh, there he is.
Brownie hasn't got a GoPro or anything, has he?
Probably for the best.
Yeah. I want to be able to identify him by his teeth when he fucking goes up in flames anyway.
Just a bit of hair, a bit of scalp. It's got his name sewn into his stupid. He takes it well, doesn't he?
He does, he has to.
He has to.
What are you actually doing?
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing.
That was probably foreign English or something.
I don't know what he's doing.
Is driving? Yes.
Sorry?
Now drive.
Yeah.
Langsam, I do. Das geht ja nicht gut.
Now driving?
You're crazy.
Yeah. Idiot translates in any language, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Here we go, boys. Oh, she's wet. Oh yeah, fucking hell, that'd send you to hell. Jesus Christ, that used to be flat.
Up here into there, yeah. They bumped me there.
Oh, there's Greta. Unfortunately for Brownie, as we passed through the gates, they decided they didn't want to let him on the track because he had a fixed towing eye. I'm not sure why, there were no bikers on track today, but all we could do was blast around and meet back up with him in a lap's time. There we go.
Hello.
Absolutely nothing prepares you for the elevation changes at this place. I think you probably feel the compressions more as a passenger too, but the way you climb up after the 𝙁𝘍𝙊𝙆 bridge and descend back into Bruncheon is something you'll never experience on a sim rig, no matter how many laps you do. The rain didn't get too much worse, but I was regretting not bringing the Mini at this point because I'd have probably gone out in that. Didn't want to chance it in the 𝙁𝘍𝙄 though, so instead we booked a passenger lap in an i30N, and let me tell you, it was probably the best €60 that I spent the entire weekend. Marcus was, and I hate saying this word, he was such a vibe. Not only was he a phenomenal driver, which you have to be to drive the ring in these mixed conditions, but his banter was top class as well. We were flying past cars which an i30N had no right keeping up with, let alone passing.
Cheers, awesome. Mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Quality. You
get a picture, boys.
Oh, I really appreciate it if you give us a nice Google review.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
It's YouTube channel.
You have used your YouTube channel.
I do, yeah.
Oh.
Boys.
Once we got back and had a look around the car park, because all sorts of nice things had arrived, we headed back to our spot at Bruncheon, where the rain continued to fall for about 30 minutes, and then it just stopped. About 15 minutes later, you could see a dry line starting to form, and knowing that we were due some really heavy rain this afternoon, I decided to just go for it.
Memory was a bit of a bitch to do, like.
Fuck!
Come on, mate. Easy work.
Oh, my stomach's doing fucking flips.
chasing him, innit? I think it'd be better with someone in front of you, mate.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
Wouldn't be surprised if Glenn and Josh want to shot a lap in like this.
That's pretty out.
Yeah, you're getting more confident as you go along and feel it.
This is where it fucking dips right down, innit?
Yeah.
Oh, she's loud.
Yes. It's lovely when that valve opens.
Moist. Just a quick GD3 RS.
What, quick enough?
Okay, now.
Jesus. Wasn't quick enough, I had my fucking phone in my hand. Ridiculous. I'm beginning to think they might be worth a €300.
I was thinking I was on a different bit of track there, that's why I went slow. I was thinking I was here now. Should we drop out? Drop in?
It's up to you, mate, your splitter.
Fuck it. Oh yes, baby.
Lost my teeth, like. Do we give them the finger or do we just look nice?
Do whatever you like. Concentrating. Don't think we could have picked a better time, like.
Spot on, mate. I'm quite gutted I can't take mine round, to be honest. After coming round here.
Only here once, mate. Buy a splitter again. That's all right.
That's mate.
Cheers for coming, mate. I'd have been shitting myself otherwise.
I've really enjoyed it. It's class. Perfect timing.
Why?
Raining.
Shit. Fucking hell, I'm looking through it.
Class. Ah, well done, mate. It's class, that. You enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm sweating buckets.
Yeah, but you have to concentrate, but I bet you it felt mint.
I'm glad I've got it in like that. I think if it's dry, I can enjoy it a lot more now.
100%.
As a well done for surviving, I got a few giant strawberries, so it was well worth it. And just because we were in a different country, that doesn't mean Brownie will stop roasting people's cars.
There's a lot of work going into that. Absolutely awful.
Now, even though it had started to rain as we were coming off the track, Glenn and Josh decided to go out for a lap in the M cars, and that dry line that I had vanished for them. Not that they were bothered, they were having a great time. Glenn's splitter that usually can't survive a low curb somehow made it around the carousel again, and you can see just how much wetter it was getting by the time they made it round to us. As they disappeared out of view, that's where Josh had the biggest arsnip of his entire life.
Good? Fucking hell! Oh, good save!
He comes out of the mini carousel, floors it, and as the car goes over this tiny crest, the back steps out on him. He couldn't really have put much more lock on even if he wanted to there, his arms were fully crossed over. Some reaction time that, innit? I think Jim's reaction says it all, to be honest.
Fucking hell! Oh, good save!
The heavy rain was fully set in now though, so we had a mooch over to the GP track grandstands so everyone could grab something from the gift shop and get some scran. And Jim was really regretting not buying a car for this trip, so he spent the next hour looking through Marketplace for E92 M3s. We ended up calling it early so we could head back up to the hotel and sort Brownie's car out. Again. It was easy enough to whip the grill off, just 4 Torx bolts, and there was only 2 small 8mm bolts holding the tow eye on. I suppose that's all you need when the car weighs 1100 kilos. It's mad to think that mine's 200 kilos lighter than his and all. Since it was a washout, we went and filled up ready to give the track a good spanking tomorrow, which, according to the forecast, was going to be a belter of a day. No rain, sun out, not too warm. Can't really ask for more than that, can you? Miles better than what we had now. If you're after some decent scoff while visiting the ring, get yourself to restaurant Piston Klaus. It's in Nurburgring, it's full of racing memorabilia, and all of the greats have celebrated the wins here. Senna, Sabine, Lauda, Schumacher, and now us plebs from up north. Steak on a stone, a few pints and a tiramisu for about €40 each. Can't fall off. After that we dropped the females off and headed back out for some late night pictures under the sign. Pete even did a bit of light painting. Not just for us either.
Pete getting enlisted to do photographs for some fucking, I don't know, where's he from? Belgian, who's in Most Wanted.
Just as we were about to leave, we saw a fella running towards the roundabout with a big gimbal, so we knew something was about to happen.
Oh! Yeah? A poor bike.
Fairly sure this lad, who's spun the M3 once already and looked like he was about to do it again, does a bit of YouTube, so if you're watching, you're alright. You can't drift to save your life, but how's it going? And just keep a mental image of that car, because, spoiler alert, it might appear on a recovery truck tomorrow. Vlad knew what he was doing though. It's always the Europeans in an E46 that you can count on to do some proper skids. Day 3 started out a little bit foggy and the roads were still a little bit damp, but we knew that it was going to be busy because it was the only day this weekend where we weren't due any rain. I don't think we fully expected what carnage we were about to experience, but as soon as we were all prepped, we headed straight out for a lap. James had hired a Golf GTI from Nurburgring and met us on the roundabout, which couldn't have been better timing. We were literally all there on the gates ready to go through. And then the gate me and Glenn were at decided to just shit itself. So it ended up just being every man for himself. The track was so much drier than yesterday. Even if you had to venture offline if you had traffic flying past you, you weren't dipping into the wet, which meant you could keep the temperature in your tyres and give it a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, it was still a little bit sketchy in places where the trees were covering the track, but it was only going to get better as the day went on. I was literally just giving it about 40% of what the car could do, but it was taking all of my concentration to make sure I didn't drift off onto a wet patch. I managed to catch up to Pete, who was taking it steady because his son was trying to keep his breakfast down, and the sun was trying its hardest to burn off the last patches of fog dotted around the track. Blissfully unaware that that could potentially be my last lap of the ring this trip, I jumped in with James in his rental GTI.
3 RS behind us straight away. Good?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Porky, innit? Someone's had enough there, haven't they?
That was yesterday. That's that
MX-5.
How annoying. It's really nice this section.
Oh, here we go. Oh, fucking hell, that's not a good one, is it? That's a truck job.
What is it?
Is it a
Focus
Mark II
RS?
Focus RS, yeah? Oh man, he hasn't gone straight on, has he?
Yes.
Oh dear. Oh, it's an ST.
Oh, it's fucking cowy. Look at the front of it. The other problem is I don't really know how fast I'm going because it's got a stupid lap timer in the middle of the screen. Fucking yellows again.
Oh wow.
Fucking hell.
I would be quite gutted if I'd hired a car only to hit multiple yellow flags, but at least it wasn't us that was causing them, especially when the excess on this thing was like €22,000. Yikes.
Whoa!
Wow, that's a big one.
Holy moly! Fucking hell!
Yeah.
Someone's had a big crossover there. Holy shit!
Yeah, but where's the car?
It's gone, hasn't
Is it just for that bit of track there to clean up, you reckon?
it? We good now.
Yeah.
Right, that's good.
The car was really good as well. It only had tyres and brakes, but it handled superbly. Little bit of understeer here and there, as you'd expect with any front-wheel drive car in the damp, but the track was drying out with every passing minute. Same couldn't be said for James's sweaty hands because he kept turning the heated steering wheel on.
I'll be honest, my hands are fucking roasted. Just want to do more laps, I'll be honest. Right there.
Yeah. It is different as a passenger getting through it about like... After being here for 3 days, Brownie finally managed to get a lap in his 460 brake horsepower 𝙁𝘾𝙀𝘽𝙊𝙆 𝙁𝑍𝑔. Just the right amount of power you want for a drying track, isn't it?
What was that? It's our mates from last night. Who? Oh, the Polish dude.
Polish lads, yeah.
And when Glenn had finished mentoring him, it was time to jump into the rental with me and James to give him a few pointers as well. Again, we hit yellows, so James didn't get one full clean lap in. But the car was spot on, and just as we sat down to have some breakfast, bam! First red flag of the day. And this is where the chaos began, really. James had to take his rental back, and I offered to go pick him up because I'm a good mate, which in hindsight was a bad call, because I'd now lost my spot in the diner car park. The company he rented the car from was so easy to deal with though. It was €327 to hire the car for 3 laps. Obviously, you've then got to pay for your fuel and lap tickets on top, but he thought it was worth it. And an hour later the track was still closed, so he couldn't really have timed it any better. Instead of just sitting around with our thumbs up our arses, we decided to go have a gander around the car park that was brimmed with some really nice things.
Mrs. has got fake on tits. Oh, you got that on video?
Your car there, James.
That's something you'd love, that.
You just said they looked alright, that was awful.
Big gap knobs.
What are them wheels? The 88s? Oh, I'm just making that up.
I don't know. I'm not into my BBSs, even though I've got 2 sets.
All of them. They're very nice wheels, yeah.
What the hell? Lotus friends. I know.
It's not that one from yesterday.
Is it? No, it's the same one.
Oh, yeah, it's the same.
Do like that.
260 cup.
Yeah. And that.
Carboony. I think you want these as well.
Oh yeah.
Carboony.
They're them wheels that you like.
They're LMs, aren't they? They're different.
Yeah, LMG.
Hello. Yeah, Josh should have called it.
Wow.
Honestly, you could spend all day admiring people's builds here. GT3s are like Corsas, every other car seems to be one, and no one really bats an eyelid. The track finally reopened after a 2-hour-long red flag, but because I'd picked James up from the car rental place, the 𝙁𝘼𝙊𝙆 was now boxed in deep in the overflow car park. So I decided it was probably best to just give it half an hour or so and let the queues subside a bit. One thing that I didn't account for though, was that you can just stay on the track and go for another lap, which is what everyone seemed to be doing, instead of coming back off and parking up. So the queues never really petered out, so I decided I'll just head back and join the madness, and see if I can squeeze one more lap in. Surely I could. I mean, we had 3 hours before I had to leave. Someone had taken a nice picture of the 𝙁𝘼𝙊𝙆, which was nice. Shout out to 𝙁𝘼�ST220 on Instagram. And whilst I was joining the back of the queue, Glenn was heading out for another lap, which went, well.
That's where Josh wanted. Oh, you fucking dick!
90 minutes and a very hot Lotus later, I finally made it out of the overflow car park. In that time, Josh had managed to get out on track for a few laps back to back as well, and it was absolute fucking chaos. There were cars in the gravel, yellow flags everywhere, that M3 from last night, yep, well, that was in the wall, and Glenn's Polish mates from earlier on had bin their RS3 right at the very end of the lap, which was enough for them to bring out a second red flag of the day, because there was just parts strewn all over the place, just as I'd made it to the roundabout where you pull on track as well. Fuck's sake. I was so pissed off. I knew that the likelihood of me actually getting a lap in from now on was slim. I just wanted to get out of there, but I couldn't pull back into the car park because I knew it'd take 90 minutes to get back out. So I had to call our lass and make her run up the road, bless her. 6 months pregnant and I'm making her do the 800-metre dash. All of us at that point decided to just call it a day, which turned out to be the right thing to do. In the time that it took us to drive back to the hotel and get packed up, I messaged Misha, who was meant to be taking the Lotus out for a lap, saying that we were setting off back home, and he let me know about a third red flag which had just closed the track again. And this time it was a biggie. How anyone could walk away from that relatively unhurt is beyond me. I waited a couple of days and messaged him on Instagram to see if he was okay, which he was, thankfully. As we set off on the return leg of the journey, there was a fourth red flag of the day. I have got no idea why everyone was so poor on track today, but this picture pretty much sums it up, I reckon. No one wants to go there and write off the pride and joy, but the standard of driving was so bad. It was sad we had to leave the track on a bit of a downer, but we had to head back home at some point anyway because there was someone waiting for us back in the UK who couldn't make the trip. Our little lad. Hello, son! Hiya, mate! We'd had the worst luck. Bad weather, horrific traffic, red flags and literally people crashing into us, the full shebang. But we still managed to have a good time and I'll definitely be coming back. There's something about this place that makes it feel like no other spot in the world really. I'd just like to experience it without all of the negatives that we dealt with this time, or at least without a few of them. And yeah, that's it. My first time at the ring over and done with. Let me know if you've been down in the comments and what your experience was like. Remember to like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. I've been lookship, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
You know you're back in the UK. You got on the road, straight off the ferry terminal.